Well, hello there, and welcome back if you're returning, and you're very welcome if it's your first visit with me on YouTube. Today it is Wednesday, the 4th of August. It's another new month. Can't believe that. Summer is flying by, and I'm actually very eager for autumn. I have to say that I am fed up of monochrome greens as I look out of my window, so only the odd difference in colour close up. But I've got a little while to wait. Anyway, I haven't done a video for a number of days because I needed time to myself, and I'm also thinking about how often I create videos as well, because I don't often have things to talk about and I waffle on about nothing very much. So what I thought I'd do today is have a quick look at what I've been doing in the meantime, and to give you a look at this week's colouring template, and I'll explain why you'll get to see it rather than me drawing it. There are reasons today. So this is the little sketchbook I've been working in. It's my Sea White one, all white, all media paper, which means it's cartridge paper that's been sized, so you can use some wet media on it. And some of these you'll have seen. This one, I think the last time you saw it, there was absolutely no colour on it. And I thought, oh, I'll have a go with some colours. So I dug out my Coloursoft pencils they're made by Derwent. And I'll say it here and now, it's in the description. I'm not sponsored, not paid to say anything. I'm not gifted any of these things. They're all from my stash I've paid for myself. But I share them and the information because you may be interested in them. And I like Coloursoft pencils. They're my favourite colouring pencils because it's easy to lay colour down. They've got some really lovely colours, and the barrels are nice and thick so my fingers don't hurt. Not that I use colouring pencils very often. But the two colours I've used here are grey, green and ochre. And I really love the two colours together. It's that vintagey feel again, isn't it? I do like that. This one, haven't done anything to it since we saw it last, nor that one, nor this one, because I like this one so much. I'm sort of like not too keen on the thought of adding colour to it, to traditional media, nor that one. This one was the one, it was one I was drawing last week. Oh, what a pig's ear I've made. I'm not at all happy with some of my colour choices, but I've been learning stuff, haven't I? Is that with these, I started by putting down in places a wash of, I think I used watercolour, the Mission Golds, and a very pale colour, and then worked on top with coloured pencils on top. And that's better, but I really didn't think about some of the colours I used. I really, really didn't. But then there are parts that I really love. I love the blue and orangey red together. So bright. And these look like, well, they're really almost on fire. And up here, it's really nice. But I'm really not happy with this bit here. Not one bit. This is okay, but I think I like the shading on it. I like the depth, the feeling of volume and depth I've got. And of course then I decided, oh, let's add some shadow. Yeah, I'm not good at adding shadow. This is another one that I've finished. I haven't done anything with it yet. It's in my sketchbook, but I really quite like it, and I'm not quite sure which way up it's supposed to go, if it is any way up. I've put my initials there, mind you, so perhaps I thought, well, this is bottom, but it could be anyway. Another abstract thing. And I've been doing a lot of these. I've reverted back to my abstract drawing. Now, this is one I have shown on social media, and I'm really quite pleased with it. It's turned out quite nice. The colours are quite muted and vintagey, I suppose. In many places there's some vibrance there as well. But I carefully used glaze pens and the white souffle, and did I use coloured souffles? No, I don't think I did. And just hints of gold, just for some embellishment. And it took me ages to work out how to get this sorted. And it started off with the watercolour from the Ecolines this time, and then because it was so pale. I knew that if I went back in with darker colours, I'd just ruin the finish, especially as I'm working on cartridge paper rather than watercolour paper. So I thought, right, let's dig the colour softs out, and off we went. So I was able to add layers of colour to bring shadow and highlight into them. So I'm really quite pleased with that, and I like the way I've actually left lighter areas as well. So I've made those light colours work for me. So, but this was a nice project. It took me hours and hours. Oh, and the shadows, you might be able to see there's some, quite a thin shadow, just to lift it off the paper a bit. A Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen, it's one of the cool greys. I think it's either 3 or 4, because they've got them numbered in Roman numerals. So, but I'm quite pleased with that one. This one I finished yesterday, and again, it took me many hours to do between drawing. I liked this one black and white better than I like it colour, I think. But it's all a process of learning. It was this one, I used Graphitint pencils, because I thought, oh, I really don't want things really bright and vibrant, because I'd done this one in between. I had an offcut of some mixed media paper, as I cut a sheet down, an A4 sheet, into an 8x8 piece, and this was what was left over essentially. And this one again, I did use the Ecoline watercolour inks to give the underlying colours, and then I used coloured pencils on top. Oh, and the lovely thing I found about the colour pencils as well is I also used a blender pencil, and I used one of the Faber-Castell ones, which it's all blended, there's no wood in it, it's brilliant. The Derwent blenders are slightly abrasive, so they tend to move ink around and remove details and things and make things mucky, but the Faber-Castell don't. But they also leave this beautiful glossy finish, and that shiny finish, once I buff it with a paper towel, really makes the colours a lot more vibrant than they appeared before then. And of course it seals them in. So I was really pleased with that one. But I thought it was all a bit bright and all a bit samey, but going back to it's really nice. I think I went a bit mad with the dots, possibly. But there's also something quite nice about them. I have to learn to be a bit more careful with how many dots I put on things. So as I realised that was a bit bright, I thought, right, let's have a look at the Graphitints, which are tinted graphite pencils, again from Derwent, and they're water soluble, and when you add water to them, the colour comes more to the forefront. So this one naturally has quite a lovely vintage feel to it, and I have used the white souffle pen to give dots around it, and it didn't pick up the colour from the Graphitint, which was lovely. Did I put any? I did put some hints. Yeah, I did put some hints of glaze pens on there. You might see around here some of them catching the light. So, really, really glossy finish. So I wanted these inside to look like nice shiny seeds. And did I do some of the? I didn't do any of the crystal. I don't know. No, I didn't. But some of the insides of things I did as well. Just little bits here and there. And I'm quite pleased with that. And again, I used the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen to add shadow to this, because it gives me quite a thin line. So drawing I haven't done anything with it yet. I'm not sure whether it's finished or not, because I do drawings. And this is the one that I did finish it this morning. I worked on it this morning. And this is partly the reason why I didn't film anything. I started off by colouring the page with distress inks. I used a mixture of Rusty Hinge and Vintage Photo and a piece of cut and dry foam. Cut and dry foam has sort of like a foamy sponge on one side, and then a foam that's more like sort of like play foam, craft foam on the other side, but it's thicker. I like that side, not the spongy side. And I find it much better for me to spread distress inks onto surfaces. I get a much better finish than with their blending tools or, or anything else. I've tried stencil brushes and all the others, but this works, and it's relatively inexpensive in its way if you can get hold of the cut and dry foam now, because thanks to Brexit it's not easily available. But anyway, so I started doing that. So I then started with these in the middle, and I thought, right, we'll use the Eco line. I wanted to keep this again I thought I was going to keep it quite vintagey. I wanted to stay within browns and yellow ochres, those kinds of things. But I really didn't like what they were doing to some of the ink, because of course distress ink adds chemicals to the paper, which means that things react differently with the paper and the ink I used for drawing, which is normally waterproof, but here it started moving. So I got a really mucky colour, and I thought, what am I going to do before I do anything else? Oh, I know, let's use some Inktense, because they're permanent. I know they don't shift ink. Let's see what happens. I must have moved all of the chemical, same thing was happening. So then I thought, what can I do instead? Oh, I know, chalk pastels. So I went and dug out my sets of chalk pastels. I started with the Contes, which are great, but they don't have the range of colours in that I would like. So I went and found that I still had the Stabilo Carbatello ones. Carbatello? I don't know how you pronounce it, it's an H after the T. And some, this was the paper stump I used for most of it, but I had to go to a smaller one in the end. And so I added some of those on the top, and thank goodness the colour was lovely, and it just worked. It really did just work for me. So I carried on just using the chalk pastels for the whole of this, and oh my goodness, it just went so well, and I got so carried away that I wanted to finish it. I wanted to stay within browns and ochres, but I've ended up using some reds and corals, and here there were purple and blue and so on, but the distress ink I think has come through from underneath, and that's fine, because that browny colour of the distress ink interacting with the colours is adding that more subdued, more vintage, more aged tone to them, and that's what I wanted. Yeah, I found something I really like. But I also use the chalk, a dark brown chalk pastel, to add the shadows and even to go over layers. And I was so pleased I did, because you can blend it out and it softens the edge in a way that with the Faber-Castells you get a hard edge, because I'm not going to fuss around trying to catch it before it dries, to use water to spread it out, or to use a paler one to go out, and then I really can't be doing with that most of the time, and it always ends up looking when I try it. I've got the skills to do it, but I don't think I've got the wherewithal to do it. But the chalk worked wonderfully. Lots of white dots again. It's one of my characteristic things, but there are some gold ones on here, and I used you can see one area here is really shiny, clear glaze. I wanted it to look a bit like glass as it caught the light, and it does a bit. I like that effect, and that might encourage me to use areas like this far more. But the gold, let me have a look, see if we can catch it underneath here. A glitter gel pen, one of the Signos from Uniball, and I used the glaze pen on the top to seal the glitter in, otherwise it just brushes off over time. Well, not all of it, but a lot of it does. So, and again, and I also used the glaze pen in the black centres of seeds, and also these seeds here and some of these and so on. And did I use it on the tops? I thought I had, perhaps not. But I'm really quite pleased with that. I really like the colours of it. May not be to everybody's tastes, but it's to mine. I may be getting somewhere with colour. Mixed media may be the way to go. And that's my sketchbook. One more thing to show. This is the other piece of the mixed media paper that I drew on. And I've got this drawing here to do something with, because I ought to scan it in actually before I colour it, but it doesn't matter, because if I do colour it, I can always scan and redraw or use it as inspiration for the next drawing. I'm learning that in a way, is that it's fine. So there's those. So on to this week's templates for the Angela Porter's colouring book group fans, and it's a Doodle Worlds. I'm just going to move my camera up so that you can see it in its, I was going to say glorious entirety. You get a flash of my dress there. I'm not sure if it is a glorious entirety, and it's not completely entire, but it's a Doodle Worlds, and it took me quite a few hours to draw today. It's Wednesday, so Wednesday means that I'm up early for Abel and Cole, so 5 o'clock, and I was working on the colouring, that chalky pastel one, the last one you saw, about 5:30 this morning with a mug of tea by my side, and I kept working until Abel and Cole came, which was well after 7 o'clock. It's about 7:30. I never know what time they're going to appear. I think it was a different driver this week. The usual one had taken time off, which is fine. And I thought I won't start filming a video because I could end up needing to go to bed, because I was shattered. I didn't have much sleep last night. I didn't get to bed until late, and I was already exhausted from a number of late nights and early mornings previously. But I got stuck into this and I thought, right, let's just keep going and get it done, is it? So that's what I did. And I've had lunch since. I'd had breakfast. I had a break for breakfast at some point, and straight after the Abel and Cole delivery, so about 7 o'clock this morning I had breakfast. So I had lunch a little while ago, and I carried on after lunch. And as I said, it's typically Doodle Worlds. And I think I wanted a Doodle Worlds one because another reason I've been missing in action, as it were, haven't done a daily vlog, is that my mood hasn't been great for the past couple of days. And I just needed to do things that were comforting and weren't going to stress me too much, apart from the colour, which always stresses me. And I just needed that time and space. I mean, there's nothing serious. It's just that I was just feeling meh, I suppose. And one of the interesting things is that even when I feel that way, there's always a feeling of contentment inside. And it's a very strange feeling to both feel contented and on the point of tears a lot of the time as well, for no apparent reason other than because there's nothing happened in my life. It's just life's emotional weather. I may have watched a film or a television program that caused me to be overly emotional at one point, and one thing led to another, and I ended up with some meh days. So I just needed that time out. I still hadn't done all the coloured plates for the Whimsical Cats book, and I won't be doing any today because I am shattered. And I have a feeling I may end up in bed before too much longer for an afternoon nap. But before I do that, I am going to add some colour to this. I have scanned this in, so I know I've got a good copy of it. And I'm just going to check that it did save, because I just don't trust myself at the moment. So just excuse me a moment while I do this. Oh gosh, yeah, I've got the scan. That's brilliant. So it will need cleaning up, because I don't know whether you may notice there are some smudges here, but I'm not too worried because I'm going to use chalk pastels. But I thought I might start adding some colour. This will be the colour palette challenge for this month. I haven't got a clue what to do. I'm tempted to go monochrome, but I think that would be quite a challenge for these. So I think I might go along the realms of vintage tones, or vintage steampunk. I think could be fun. Actually, yes. I mean, because you can get splashes of colour in, but let's keep it rusty and coppery and everything else with this. And of course, this template will be available on the Facebook group from tomorrow. So let's just zoom in just a tad so you can see what I'm doing. And it's full of cute characters. I must have needed things that made me smile today. And I've got some buildings, and there's a strange cupcake hiding up here. I don't know if you can see. Strange cupcake. I've got fish in the air. Well, you know, it's not real. I've got some fun birds, because I like birds. Grumpy bunny. Weird monsters, of course. I've even got a badger in there for a couple of friends of mine who get very excited when they see me draw a badger for some reason. Who knows? And there's some food, some potted plants and fruits salad or olive salad, I don't know, some crystals, hearts and mushrooms, of course, weird ghost. And a lot of the inspiration has come from an artist called Pick Candle. And if you want to draw doodly things yourself, you can't go far wrong than to look at what she does in many ways. So I've drawn inspiration from there, and I think this is one, or similar to one, that I saw in one of her books I've got. So but yeah, so it's all good fun. Right then, so I got the Carbatellos out, which have other things in there. So I said we're going to go vintagey, but we're not for mushrooms. Mushrooms need to be, well, I think they need to be red. These, I could underpaint this, but I'm not going to. Oh, the paper I've used for this is the Canson Imagine, which again is a mixed media paper. Now this is going to make it mucky because the end of this tortillon, paper stump, whatever, blending tool thing is a bit mucky, but that's okay because I don't mind that. If we're going to go steampunk, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go steampunk. You can see it is really mucky. Should have cleaned it up. How do you clean these up? With one of these tools. You tend to get paper dust everywhere, but it's just basically sandpaper, layers of sandpaper that have been stapled to a thing you can hold, and just rub this on here until the end is clean. It doesn't look clean, but it's cleaner than it was. And of course it can be used then as well to, you can see the colour coming off, to hone the point again, so you've got a more pointy tool. With tortillons, if you're not familiar with them, you can get them in different sizes and different styles. This one, strictly speaking, I think is called a paper stump because it's made out of compressed paper, whereas this is more, strictly speaking, a tortillon. It's paper that's rolled up and pointy. If these lose their point, you can shove something down the end and poke it back out. An unfolded paper clip works, or anything that will fit in there. The lovely thing about using chalk pastels, that it's going to shift the ink, is that you can always add more colour on with the others, and they actually do blend beautifully one into another. And you can buy them in pencil form or in sticks, blocks, I should say, rather than sticks. Actually, yeah, do they have? Yeah, some do come round and some do come, you know, sort of like square in the end. But I hate getting mucky fingers, so the pencils suit me. And these Carbatello ones are also partly water soluble, not entirely, but the colour can be shifted with a water brush or damp brush. which makes it rather useful for things. I'm just going to use this just to pick up all of the dust, because if I blow it around it ends up in computers and things, and on my chest, and I really don't mind whether I have, I'm looking for a darker red if I've got one here, that'll do. Okay, so I prefer the pencils because I just don't get my fingers as mucky. When I was doing A-level art, oops, paper towel's being blown, the window's open, there's a stiff breeze today, which is lovely because it's sunny, but it's keeping the temperature nicely down as well, which is better. Yeah, so when I was doing A-level art, best part of 20 years ago now, I did some abstracts in chalk. In fact, there's a couple of them are hanging in my house. One was abstracts taken from Romanesque architecture, from sculpture, and the other one was a giant trilobite fossil, which actually freaked one of the art teachers out, because I think she thought, as me being a science teacher, that they look like woodlice, granny greys, slaters. I'm not sure what they're known as, different things around the world and in different places, but she thought they were alive, and the question was, and where do these live? And I didn't catch up on where do they live. I still, you can find them, you know, in all sort of like Carboniferous and pre-Carboniferous sort of like strata. Existed for a long time. They sort of like went extinct before the dinosaurs, I think. And she said, and how, you know, sort of like in Britain, the fossils can be found, you know. I used to know at the time, my brain has gone dead. And she said, oh, right. She was from Scotland, so I must have said Scotland. She said, and how big do they grow? So I said, well, some are really tiny, and, you know, you need a hand lens to see them, and, you know, the babies you need, you know, something more powerful. Others could be about 3-4 feet long. She said, how long? And where do they live? And I caught it then. I said, oh, no, they've been extinct for millions of years, hundreds of millions of years. And she went, that's good. I wouldn't like to meet one of those. Just one of those random things. Because, of course, I just assumed that everybody knew that what trilobites were, and that they're long extinct. They're one of my favourite fossils, do have to say. So, why? I have no idea. Why is pink somebody's favourite colour, or orange, or brown? I don't know, because it is. So yeah, so anyway, as well, so when I was drawing these, I was drawing them at home, and so I had big sheets of coloured paper, because they're really nice to use on coloured paper. They show up really beautifully, and if you choose the colour of the paper you work on well, they practically glow on the paper. And my cat I had at the time, Cuffs, pure white cat, and the most unusual kitty that I've ever had the pleasure to share some of my life with. Pleasure and privilege. Sorry for the squeaks. This happens. Really do need to get some kind of sticky paper or something that I can pick things up with. Masking tape or washi tape might do it. And the little so-and-so absolutely loved to roll in the chalk pastels. So I'd be there busily working. I might turn away to get a different colour or whatever. And next thing I know, the cat was there rolling in it. And as he was pure white, he picked up the loose chalk, and I ended up with basically Rainbow Cat, who didn't want to clean himself because he tried and he didn't like the taste of the chalk on his tongue, or, you know, because it's very drying if you've ever got it on your tongue. Excuse me as I just go and reach for, I do want a clean one for this. When I was doing this, blending the colours together, because I ended up with some very smooth gradations of colour, as I do from dark to light. I use my fingers, but I much prefer these. But the scale I drew on, I mean, we're talking about bigger than A3. Yeah, it was probably best A2. Definitely bigger than A3, so it's probably A2, which is 4 of these sheets put together. So pretty big. So there'd be 4 tall wise, perhaps even bigger than that actually. Paper stumps, you know, wouldn't have gone very far. Or rather, would have taken me forever to do it. With my finger did it a lot better. But I don't like getting my fingers mucky. So the lovely thing about this is you can keep the background colour as you like, and these will blend out, they will stick to the tortillon so that you can spread them out and eventually get enough on there that there's quite a fair amount. Type of paper you're using does make a difference. I mean, this one's okay. It's working okay. There's some texture so it grips, and the idea of the tortillon is not just to spread it out, but is to work it into the fibres of the paper so it's less likely to smudge and move once... Oh, wrong colour. That's the colour I wanted. So yeah, so once you've worked it into the paper, it's less likely to shift and move once you've completely finished the work that you're doing. Of course, the colours that are on the tortillon, the paper stump, whatever you want to call it, this paper tool that I have here, they do mix. They will come off and mix with one another. And with this, I'm not really too worried or too bothered about it. All I know is it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I could use markers. You know, I've got a set of the Copic shells. I've never bought the big Copics. Sorry, I've been off camera. But never been a fan, you know. I have to be in the right mood to use Copics. Oh, there's another white pencil there. I'm finding all the Derwent drawing pencils that I thought I'd lost, they're turning up in here. So I must have popped them in there at some point. So I do want some white in here. They are fun. As I said, if they end up not, you know, mucky looking colours or, you know, aged colours, then I'm happy with that, because I think steampunk colours may just be the theme for this month. I'm almost certain it will be, because that will make me very happy as well. So it's not going to be a limited, you know, I'm going to say you've got to use these colours. I think I'll just say, right, let's have them steampunk themed. Steampunk colours, please. Excuse me, I'm going to lift it up and blow. Despite me saying I'm not, because it's white. You can see how cute those are. Chalk pastels. Makes me happy-ish today. Okay, I want... Oh, this is the problem, is me trying to find the colour I like. There we go. That one would be nice. Green. If you're thinking of giving these a try, when I move to other areas, I put a piece of paper or usually kitchen towel down, because I keep a roll of kitchen towel close at hand, close to my work desk. Put it underneath my hand where I'm working over what I've already done, just so that sweats and oils from my hands don't interfere with the blended chalks and smudge them, just in case I haven't worked them into the paper hard enough. Well, this is getting combined with whatever colour was on here. I think it was the ochre colour that I put on the mushrooms here. So I'm getting a duller green in places, and that actually suits me fine for this. So I'll just take this and I'm not trying to blend the chalk, I'm just trying to pick up the pieces. Yeah, so I may have to do something drastic. Again, I'm not too worried if I do smudge it, because look, eraser removes, does it? So it's no great shakes if I do tend to overblend in one way or another. Okay, folks, let's have a look here. Use that end. What would have been a dream for me with this really would have been to draw it on paper that I had previously coloured with Distress ink, but I can't do that if I'm scanning it in for a clean sort of like white printable copy for for the group. So I have to work with what I've got really. I could put Distress ink over the top of this now, I suppose, but I'm not quite sure how it's going to react with the ink and the pens I used. If you're interested in that, I used Unipin I pen, and the micro one. The ink in it is waterproof. But it can take a while to dry. Oops. That's okay, we can perhaps add just a little bit there just to make this one a bit different. You can see the colours do blend together quite nicely. Of course, if I want a light gap in these, then all I need to do is to use an eraser to remove some of this chalk, because they are getting to be a bit samey, because I'm using a lot of chalk in a small area. As I'm looking, I can see where there are gaps or where it's not quite so smooth, and just go back and use the tortillon to to hide it out. But of course, you know me, I am going to be using white dots at some point, aren't I? You can just move. If I've spread it out with the paper towel just a bit too much, just use an eraser to remove it. So there we go. So I'm going to do a bit more of this, and you can see the result of that on my social media at some point today, because I'm going to get the video edited forthwith excuse me, uploaded, and then I'll do the social media meme and so on. So I want to add some more colour to this before I do that. Teasing, of course, teasing everybody. So I'm going to say thank you for joining me today. It's just over 40 minutes, so I think that's enough of me wittering and showing you stuff. And whatever you're doing today, or whatever time, wherever you are in the world, please take care, please look after yourselves, and please take the time each day to be creative. And if you're enjoying the videos I put out, then please leave a like, consider subscribing, and if you press the bell you get notified when I do put a new video up. I think I'm looking at Wednesdays and Saturdays at the moment. Wednesday would be perhaps for Template Thursday on a Wednesday, so I'd normally draw a template for the next day, but I explained why I just got carried away because I thought I was going to collapse in bed at any point in time. And then Saturday for Sketchbook Saturday and the flip through and some work. And I may do other odd videos through the week as time and fancy allows, mood of drawing, or perhaps some wittering if there's something I want to share. But I'll just see how it goes. I will finish now. If you've got any thoughts on what I've said about the video schedule, then please leave a comment, because feedback would be nice, because I am aware I can put out a lot of long videos in a week because I draw every day, and to video it isn't really a major problem, but then it can take time out of my day as I fuss and faff and get it uploaded and what have you. So we'll see. So anyway, once again, thank you. Enjoy your day and take care. Bye bye for now.